We've been in the Netherlands for over a year now, and we're pretty embarrassed to say that we haven't bought bikes yet. We actually haven't even ridden a bike since we moved here.
We know, but that's all changing today. So come along with us as we purchase and ride our very first bikes in the Netherlands. Okay, so full disclosure, when we started working on this video, we thought that was going to be something completely different. It was actually a lot easier to buy a bike that met all of our needs than we expected. We walked into a store and they had multiple colors of the exact bike that we wanted.
Yep.
And
I walked in and I was like, that's the one I want.
So we just threw out the original idea for the video and started fresh, and this is the new video. Let's start by answering the question that I'm sure many of you have been wondering about. Why did it take us a year to buy bikes in the Netherlands? Isn't that kind of their thing?
Yeah. To be honest, we started this video like 10 months ago.
Are you gonna get bikes and ride them everywhere?
And then we went to Japan, and then winter hit really hard, and the area in Rotterdam that we lived in wasn't super bike friendly. There are a ton of speeding cars everywhere, and it was a little intimidating. But now we live in Dordrecht, which is a much more pedestrian and bike friendly city, and we're starting to notice that there are a lot of things that we're missing out on because it's just outside of walking distance. We haven't been on a bike in a while. I mean, we learned how to ride bikes as kids and rode them quite often, and we even owned bikes when we lived in Baltimore and rode around the city, but that was like a decade ago or more.
Yes, and full disclosure, I actually broke my hip on a bike in 2013, and I haven't really been back on a bike a ton since then, but it's a story for another time. Let's talk about what we're looking for in a bike today. All right, so first we wanted something with storage on the front and the back of the bike. We plan to do a lot of day trips plus errands on the bike, so we want to make sure that we're able to haul stuff. We're also kind of torn between an e-bike and a regular bike. If we get an e-bike, we're worried that it's going to get stolen.
Yeah, and I think they're also kind of heavy.
They are very heavy, and we plan to take the bike on day trips, and we want to have something that we can easily pick up and bring onto a train or a metro train, all kinds of trains, but I still want to look at them.
Maybe we'll build up to one.
Yeah. I still want to look at them though.
Yeah, me too.
We want something that's lightweight. I already mentioned why. I want a vintage look. When I walk around and I see other bikes, I see the ones with like the brown seats and like the gray frame, and I'm just like, wow, that's a pretty sexy bike, and that's something I really want. And then also, budget's really important to us. We want something new, but we also want something that we're not going to be super upset about if it inevitably gets stolen, because they do steal bikes here. You're probably wondering, how do you even buy a bike here? We're kind of wondering that too. Well, you have a lot of options.
You can shop at dealer stores or shops that specialize in e-bikes, and if you're looking for a used bike, there's a huge selection on online websites like Marktplaats or Bike Fair. No doubt there will be a bazillion bike shops in any city you end up in the Netherlands, and in Dordrecht we have this one right by the train station. Or this one, which has a ton of locations around the Netherlands and has e-bikes and regular bikes. And this is where we ended up. We wanted to buy local, and a lot of shops offer a service guarantee. Well, they'll service your bike for free for like a year or something. So we wanted to start a relationship with a store that we knew we'd come back to.
The shop owner talked us through the options. They had bikes we were eyeing online and a few different color options. We test drove them, liked them, and he spent some time making sure that they were in tip-top shape before we left the store.
And that, I guess, brings us to now. Let's take a little break from our trip to show you the bikes that we got. But first, let's talk about what makes Dutch bikes unique. First, they're called omafiets, which translates to either mother's bike or grandmother's bike. And that might be different than other bikes that you've seen in the Netherlands, like a bakfiets, which is essentially this bike with a giant basket on the front to carry your kids or some things that you buy from IKEA. Commonly, they'll have some sort of storage on them because they're built for commuting or running errands, which is different than bikes that you might see in the United States, which are typically built for things like sports or exercise. The back is covered up so your dress or your shoelaces don't get caught in your wheel. Commonly, you can't see it on this side, but your gears or your chains are covered up. The other thing is that you sit upright when you ride your bike. So in the United States, you usually are riding your bike like this. But here, you just sit upright because it's more comfortable for the distances that you're going in the Netherlands, I guess. And interestingly, there are a lot of bike companies now that are selling bikes in the United States that are the Dutch bikes, either new or they're selling refurbished bikes from the Netherlands. So it seems like it's like a pretty big thing that's catching on in the US. Most Dutch bikes come with a bell. Ding ding. Ours actually came with handbrakes because this is important to us. This is what we're familiar with. There are a lot of Dutch bikes here that you pedal backwards to stop, but we didn't really want to jump into that because braking's kind of important. We didn't want to worry about that as we were acclimating to riding bikes in the Netherlands. The other thing that was somewhat unique about our bike is we have gears. They don't all have gear shifting, but we got ours because, I don't know, it makes it easier to go up bridges and the occasional hill that you'll find in this incredibly flat country. Dutch bikes tend to be heavier than American bikes because of all the additional stuff that they have on them, but I mean, really, it's not that heavy. It's definitely light enough that we can carry it on and off of a train or on a metro or whatever when we're traveling, and that's really all that matters. We're not going to like carry this around the city. We're going to ride it, obviously. But I think that's our Dutch bike explanation. So let's get back to the ride.
We are back at Brokking Confectionery. Before, this trip used to be a 20-minute walk, and it was probably like 5 minutes on the bike. And now, I know this isn't the best example because we could go much further on our bikes, but we're warming up to it. Let's talk about what we got. I got a Slagroom truffle, which I've never had before.
We'll talk about what I got in a minute.
Yeah. Yours has more mystery to it than mine, I think. It's harder than I expected.
That's what she said. So it's chocolate covered and chocolate powder covered with whipped cream on the inside? Mm-hmm. All right, and I got something that y'all have been talking to us about for a long time, or recommending to us. It's called a Sauseisenbrotje. I actually have done no research on it at all. I just saw that they had it, and y'all have been recommending that we try it, so I figured I'd just give it a shot. So I'm biting into something. Looks like a sausage roll, but they have nothing savory in the store, so I'm assuming it's sweet.
What does it smell like?
Pastry. It tastes like cold spiced sausage. So is this just a sausage roll?
I think so.
I think it's just a sausage roll.
Maybe that's how you say sausage in Dutch.
I'm about to look it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good.
It's interesting it's the only savory thing they have.
Yep. Sausage roll.
We're making it so complicated.
That's what it means. Sausage sandwich, sausage roll. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about insurance. Our bikes happen to already be covered by our contents insurance. That won't always be the case, but obviously bikes do get stolen here in the Netherlands, as perfect as everything is here. So be sure that if you are buying a bike here, it's insured through some method. Also, you should buy 2 locks. We've got 2 locks. We have this lock, a regular lock, to like attach it to something, and then we've got a wheel lock right here to lock your wheels when you're not using it.
And if you're wondering, our bikes were less than 400 euros each, and we bought them brand new. Obviously, you can get a used bike for way less than that. And on the flip side, you can get an e-bike for way more than that, like 4 times as much. But
at least 4 times as much.
At least 4 times as much. We saw some that were like $4,000.
But if you ride your bike a lot, especially like over long distances, you're going to want that e-bike. Mm-hmm. But for us, I think using something or getting something, not getting the e-bike is probably the right move.
Yeah, I think so. We had a long back and forth about it, but I think we arrived at the right choice.
And it'll be less upsetting when inevitably the bikes are stolen.
Or, they get scratched or messed up or something.
I'm less worried about that.
Like when
I'm worried about them disappearing.
Inevitably fall off the bike.
Don't fall off the bike. So let's talk about our experience biking here so far. Surprise, the biking infrastructure in the Netherlands is amazing. Even when there's like a detour, like there's tons of construction on the road to get here, the detours are all really well thought out, and it's really not a big deal at all.
Yeah, and I get really anxious biking, and I was very anxious, but actually it's been remarkably easy.
Yes.
One thing that I love is that like everyone here works together. The cars, the pedestrians, and the bikes to all like look out for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And
there are no stop signs in the Netherlands.
Yeah, there are no stop signs.
Everything's a yield.
Everyone just like makes eye contact, like you go, and it's been it's worked. It's great.
Yeah, but anyway, that's going to be it for our bike video today. Where should we go on our bikes? Now that we've got these amazing bikes, we can go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Where should we go?
Let us know in the comments below.
As always, thanks for watching.
We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.